For some reason, are people in here or no? Probably. Hey, everybody. For those just joining us, we're going to get started here shortly. Let me go ahead and reclaim host. We got 4 minutes till we're going to get ready to go live. We have Stephen Thomas going to be joining us with Ryan, so just hang tight and we'll get started shortly.
Hey guys. Can you guys hear me? Steve, you're muted. Let me make sure. Why am I not hearing this?
I can hear you, Ryan.
Okay, I can hear you too. Steve, can you say something? We cannot hear you. Still nothing.
Oh, there we go. I accidentally hit mute.
Happens to the best of us.
That's what it was. So what's your problem? I got this thing going.
So Steve, just I'm gonna start with my deck, and then I'll like 3 slides in, I'll punt it over to you, and then you can share yours, and then I'll take over when you're done.
Yeah, whoever is controlling the room, I need the ability to share my screen.
Yeah.
And hey, hold on 1 second because Ryan, Colin and I are just getting ready for the live stream on Facebook.
Okay. Steve, do you want to try and share your screen real quick, just to make sure you can?
Let's see.
Nope. You're a
Nope.
panelist, so you should be able to. No?
Host disabled participant screen sharing is what it says.
As a panelist, you should be able to do it.
All right, Stephen, I just made you co-host. Go ahead and try now.
I can do it now.
Nailed it.
There you go. Thanks for bearing with our technical challenges, guys.
That's okay. We're still it's not even 2 o'clock.
Yeah, we can make all the mistakes we want before 2 o'clock.
That's right. Then once 2 o'clock comes around, then hey, all bets are off.
All right, guys, we're ready to go live when you guys are ready.
Yeah, we'll give it another minute or so to start. So for anyone who's in the chat, maybe Tom, if you could help us kind of oversee the chat. So team, we're in panelist kind of webinar mode. If you have questions, feel free to type them in. But yeah, everybody's muted, just so, because we're going to have, I think, north of 800 people expected on this thing. So it'd be challenging to do questions and everybody kind of communicating at once. Did you adjust your slide deck at all with rates jumping even more?
So much fun.
I know, right? We have to pivot every
That's
day.
okay. I'm ready for that kind of a pivot.
Yeah,
it's all good.
Just to answer a quick question from the chat. Yes, everybody is muted because this is a webinar. We've had some fun experiences in the past with Zoom bombers. I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen that, but once you get on, put a link out in the ether, kids like to have fun. Or maybe they're adults, I don't know.
Yeah.
But we're not gonna let that happen. So we're controlling this, and yeah, we're going to, Rob says, really cool. Yeah, it's not really cool when they start sharing Nazi videos and things like that, but not gonna let that happen, guys.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started. It is 2:00. I know we have a ton to go over today. So first, I just want to.
Well, hold on 1 second, Ryan. I'm gonna let Colin go live, and then when we're live, let's
So
go.
close.
Go ahead, Colin. Take it away.
We good?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you all for being here. Today, we want to help you understand whether you're a mortgage professional or real estate professional, how we can and why we should address the housing inventory crisis, which Stephen will tell you is definitely a crisis. So, Stephen, thank you so much for being here. I'll let Stephen introduce himself here in a second. Tom, I need to be co-host so I can share my screen. If you can make that happen, please. There we go. All right, I'm going to share screen 1 here and pull this up. All right, so I want to thank our sponsors, Neil Home Loans, Tribe Coaching, Reports on Housing, and Art of Homeownership. We will have, I think north of 800 people participating in this webinar today. I think it's a testament to how necessary this content is leading into 2022, especially with what we're seeing here early in the year. So our 2 goals today, one is we want to help the real estate and mortgage industries better understand what to expect in terms of the housing inventory for 2022 and beyond. So Stephen will address that. And then next is show how real estate and mortgage professionals can work together to provide solutions to the housing inventory crisis. I think this is incredibly important. So before we get into that, the question is, why do we need to solve this? And I keep hearing people saying, well, it's going to get better. I hope it gets better. There's going to be more inventory soon. There has to be. Hope and those types of statements are not what we need, right? We need actual tactical strategies to go do that. So I want to go over real quick, what happens if we do nothing? First-time home buyers and new families won't be able to get into the market, right? And this means families are going to be forced to rent. And because rents are rising so quickly, people can actually be forced out of their communities over time. So the whole time we're going to go through this, I don't want you to think about how can I do this to make money. I want you to think about how can I do this to actually make a dent in society and improve the communities in which we serve, because we're going to have some real serious challenges if we don't help this way. Next is growing families are going to be stuck in their homes that are too small, right? As family sizes grow, they're going to be stuck in the starter home, not be able to move up to where they want to raise their kids, school districts, so on and so forth. Families can't relocate, right? For families that want to leave the state or being forced to relocate for their jobs, they're going to have to rent in that new location, and they're not going to be able to ultimately get on that train, which is moving fast, which is the housing market. Next is that families will not be able to downsize, right? We have baby boomers have 85% of their net worth in real estate. And if they need to downsize just to afford retirement, they're going to need to be able to go find that home and not have to rent. And then lastly, communities become less stable when it becomes a population of rentals. As neighborhoods become dominated by renters, high rates of turnover make it less desirable. Prices can start to stagnate because no homes sell in the area. For those of you who aren't aware, Stephen may touch on this, but 1 of every 6 homes right now is being bought by an institutional investor. There's a massive amount of quote unquote Wall Street money that is buying every affordable house that they can possibly find. And they plan to sit on it for eternity because they're looking at the demographics and they're looking at the, who's coming in terms of first-time home buyers and the age. So it's important that we help our community stabilize by allowing people to own primary residences there. So I want to turn it over to Stephen. Stephen, I'll let you introduce yourself. I've been following Stephen for going on 12 years now. He's helped us here locally in Southern California in so many ways. All the realtors, all the lenders. So Stephen, thanks for being here, and looking forward to hearing from you.
Absolutely, my pleasure. And let me go ahead and share my screen, get this puppy going. And here we are. So yes, thank you to all the sponsors. Thank you for having me. I appreciate that, Ryan. My cup of tea is talking about housing and economics and all that stuff. So this is right up my alley, and getting everybody set for what to expect in 2022. So a little bit about myself. I'm a quantitative economics decision sciences major. That makes me a housing analyst. Unlike everybody you see on YouTube and TikTok and everybody that has a giant opinion on real estate, I actually back it up with facts, and I have so many different charts and stats and everything else that I follow. It makes it silly when I hear what everybody else has to say about the market and how it's going to implode or crash or wave of foreclosures, and I can refute all of it based upon fact. I like to rely on the facts. That doesn't mean we can't go into something like that. That means like I don't see it right now. So, but there has been a lot of dancing around for this first few weeks of the new year. That's for darn sure. But I've been doing this for 30 years. Orange County native, Cal Poly high school grad, 9 kids. Just want to let you guys know I have a lot of kids. So bring the questions at me. It really doesn't matter. I'm used to rapid fire. I brought the 6 on the right. My wife brought the 2 on the upper left, and then we had this guy. So, and I adopted her. She adopted mine too. So we're a happy family, big, giant. My daughter just got married last month. So now we have another kid. We've been all over the press as well, from Financial Times of London, New York Times, everywhere in between. And our company is Reports in Housing. It's your local real estate snapshot. It's about driving home actionable data so that people can make great decisions with properly setting people's expectations rather than just guessing as to what's going to happen in the marketplace. This is what I do. This is what I love. I cannot get enough economics when I'm putting together presentations like I was right now for prior to this presentation. So I have the latest and greatest. I was listening to more podcasts and everything else I can get my hands on. So I'm just going to go over a few different things really quick. And number one is, where are rates headed and what am I seeing? Well, there's been quite a big change in this department. So I'm going to focus more on this. And then when there are other questions, I can answer them. I only have a certain amount of time, but I wanted to get into what's most important, and rates is extremely important. You can go to my YouTube channel, Reports on Housing, and see why I don't think that there's going to be a wave of foreclosures. You can see why there's not going to be a market crash. Know that that just is not in the cards, and it has everything to do with inventory and how healthy our housing stock is. But it's very important to focus on where are rates headed, because that's what we're dealing with today. And so this is about stripping down all the junk and noise that you hear that's out there. Know that the fuel to what's going on right now, to what's gone on in the housing market, has been low interest rates. And it also has been very, very low inventory. But if we take a look at where rates are today, you know that, okay, this is where COVID-19 is. Back in March of 2020 is when we started. Well, we've been marching up since the beginning of this year, and all of a sudden this big spike on rates. This is 3.45%. This was last Thursday. This is the Freddie Mac at Primary Mortgage Market Survey. It comes out every Thursday. This pretty chart drops every Thursday. You can go all the way back to the beginning of time when they started tracking this stuff. 51 years ago. And know that it's built in with 1 point, because back in the day you had to put 20% down 1 point, and that's what you had to do that. So in order to compare apples to apples of 51 years ago, this is with 1 point, and you're looking at 3.45% interest rates right now. If I draw a line across, the last time we were here it's the highest level since March of 2020. But even in March of 2020, at the end of March 2020, this is a really good rate. So we just can't get we can't be too shocked by where interest rates are today. Just know that we're getting past this pandemic, and as far as the economy is concerned, definitely past that shock and awe of the first several months of going into the pandemic and that mini recession that we had in the United States, which actually lasted only 2 months. So people are wondering, okay, why is this occurring right now? And the big reason is because we have inflation and Omicron. At first we had that was tugging at things. So it actually brought rates up to a certain point. Inflation was making it go higher, but Omicron was bringing rates down lower. And know that now that was originally what was going on. Now the Fed is a big piece of what's happened in the last several weeks. And you could see it here, and this is the 10-year Treasury over time. And the 10-year Treasury over time, hang on, I'm going to optimize this so I'm not seeing all the other stuff that's out there. But the US 10 Treasury over at last year has done some really different things. And basically, we had interest rates rising, and I'm actually a proponent, want interest rates to rise because it's the only thing that is going to start to slow the tide of the swiftness of this marketplace. And let me tell you, it's a slow transition. It's not instantaneous where all of a sudden our markets will seize and shut. But we needed higher interest rates for that to happen. Well, we started to get at the beginning of the year, and it took us anywhere from January till March to get to, we got to 3.18%. And that is on the left-hand side, that first green arrow. And then we went down, and I was stoked that it was going up because that's what we needed. And then rates went back down. We went back down to 2.77% by the time we got to August. And then they started to creep up. And you could see for the first, 9 months of the year, nothing too exciting to write home about. But then we started to get this volatility down, up, down. And then the beginning of this year, boom, went way up. And that dance was inflation and Omicron mixed into the equation. And then on the right-hand side, it was the Fed. And there's been a lot of volatility. You see it in Wall Street today. Volatility has been out, through the roof. And I think Dow is down 500, NASDAQ down to 2-point-something%. But inflation is no longer transitory. And it took a long time for the Federal Reserve to get to this point. We were starting to see, about October is when they should have made the change. And instead, they waited until they met in December to really talk about it and what they were going to do to address this inflation. So they're a bit late to the party. And a matter of fact, right now they're doing like a hurry up offense. So they're doing a whole bunch of things all at once. They're doing this taper at the same time that they're going to raise the Fed short-term rate, and that's going to happen at the in March. And then they threw in something new that they're going to do. And so let's go over what that is. So mortgage-backed securities, new purchases, January, February, March, you could see it's going from 20, was it 40, then it went down to 30, then it went down to 20. Now it'll be 10 next month, then it'll be 0. And this is new purchases. But they're doing this reinvestment where they're actually draining their balance sheets. And this is the new thing that last time it took them 3 years to get there. Because if you remember, 2013 was the taper tantrum. They didn't really start tapering until 2014, new purchases. But that reinvestment piece, they didn't touch that for 3 years. And I thought originally that it would be 1 year before they touched it. But because of inflation and where it's at, they're actually unwinding their balance sheets right now. And they want the mortgage-backed security market to kind of work on its own now. So they're going to be draining this back. So it's going to go from 60 billion, because these are all the people where when they purchase purchase a house or refinance, the Federal Reserve gets that money back, and they're going, what do I do with this? Well, they've been reinvesting it on a monthly rate between 50 and 70 billion dollars per month, in addition to the 40 billion that they were doing. Well, now we know that the 40 billion is down to 0, and so I was thinking they'd continue to do this for the next year, but no. Starting in March or April, they're going to start to shed that by about $10 billion per month. They're going to start to let their balance sheets drain. It's going to go from 50 billion to 40 billion to 30 billion. So they're going to drain that at their own rate, and they're going to announce what that rate is at their monthly meetings. And know that this is not what people were expecting. Last time it was 3 years. Like I said, they were expecting anywhere from 1 to a couple of years. I thought 1 year. They changed it. Wall Street Journal dropped the article on it on Tuesday of the first week of January. And everybody knew of the article was coming out the day before on Monday. And as a result, we saw the markets move spectacularly starting that first week in January, and it has not relented since. And so I believe interest rates are going to hover between 3 and 3.75% with 1 point. In the lending environment, it's about another 0.25% higher for a no point loan. So we're right at that 4% mark. And know that the lower the interest rate, the more insane the market. The higher the interest rate, the more that we can actually accumulate a bit inventory. And people are going, how can it go from 130 miles per hour, and as rates rise, for there to be a shift, and then it goes down to 70 miles per hour? And remember, at 120, which is where we are right now, it is just an insane market. At 70 miles per hour, it's still a hot seller's market. What it means is that buyers are going to be minding their P's and Q's a little bit. They're going to be doing their homework, and they're not going to bite on the house that is overpriced. Those overpriced properties, which there are quite a few of them that come to market, will start to stay in the market, and we will build inventory from that. And know that there's a big rising rates has an impact on affordability. You can see we've had interest rates as low as 2.65%. That was the beginning of last year. And if you wanted a $3,000 per month desired mortgage monthly payment at 20% down, you're looking at a $930,000 a home. And now today, we're right at about 3.5%. With 1 point, you're at 835,000. And then as rates continue to go up, you could see it kind of eats into affordability a little bit. Know that this doesn't mean that all buyers are going to evaporate, because we have a lot of dual income earners that they have two, and man and wife both have these gigantic incomes. You combine them, and they're more than fine with making these payments even at the higher rates. It just means that the people that were not really they wanted to buy, but now that it's a little bit higher, they don't want to participate. Know that this is going to weed through all of the buyer pool and bring down demand a little bit, so that we don't have 50 offers per house. Instead, it'll go down from 50 to 15 to 10 to 5. And then later on, we'll just get a couple offers, and you have to be priced at a better price. And that's the second half of this year. So you could see it in SoCal interest rates. As interest rates have risen, so has the inventory. Inventory across the United States typically peaks during the summertime. When you get a late peak, that green line is 2013, the dark green line, and you could see it peaked all the way in Thanksgiving. The red line was 2018. Now, both those, the dotted lines, are what happened to interest rates. Interest rates in 2013 went from 3 3/8% all the way up to 4.5%. And as a result, we saw our inventory, which was really low in 2013, not as low as what we have this year, but 25,000 homes in all of SoCal, all the way up to almost 40,000 homes. And in 2018, we went from 4% to 5%. By the time we got to November, almost 5%. And we went from 35,000 homes to nearly 50,000 homes. And it did not peak until Thanksgiving. When we had that late peak that's outside of summer, that means that there's something going on in the marketplace. It paved the way for a great 2014, and it paved the way for a great 2019. That's what I'm hoping for 2023, because we're already starting off. This market's already exceptionally hot, but it is going to change as the year progresses. And so we need interest rates to rise in order for the market to cool a little bit and have a little bit less of an insane market, because that's what our market is. Because the housing market, insane. And know that the supply and demand, prior to the Great Recession, we had a supply glut. We have the exact opposite. We also had bad loans, adjustable rate mortgages. I can go into all the list of why you can't compare now to the pre Great Recession days. And right now we have a supply crisis, or actually what I coined last year a supply catastrophe. And that is because we hit a record low across the United States. It's absolutely unbelievable. Housing inventory is lower than last year at this time. And you could pick your state. It's across the board. It's just pretty acute. Idaho's the only one that's actually positive, and that's because of Boise. And it's actually not that bad. It's just higher than where it was last year, but it's still lower than the averages prior to COVID. But look at Florida, down 48%, or Alaska, down 34%. The month's inventory of homes for sale across the United States, you could see the beginning of last year, it got really low. Know that it continues to go down, typically for about another few weeks. And we don't have those readings yet for January 2022 for this particular chart, but you could see over time, the inventory has actually been dropping over time. And you can see that there's kind of a slope to this. And so inventory has been an issue, and it was already an issue prior to the pandemic. The pandemic made things worse, and now we are even lower, and we're going to have a hard time building unless we have higher rates. And right now, as far as the inventory is concerned, the gas tank is empty. We got to nearly no homes on the market in many, many markets. And but right now, I'm starting to see signs of life. I'm starting to see inventories start to rise. And know that right now there's a seasonality to the market. People expect, especially here in Southern California when it's sunny, that this is the greatest time of the year, especially once it's Super Bowl. Everybody goes, you should come on the market right now. The market's hot, Super Bowl. And I have to remind people that we follow the seasonality to the market every year, where spring is the best. Spring doesn't start till the end of March, and May is the month where we have the most homes come on the market. And typically between April and most of the time it's in May, we have the most homes go into escrow. That's spring. And then it goes to summer, a little bit less, because this is all around where families can move. You can go into escrow in spring and close in summer. Autumn, even less, because kids go back to school. Holidays is another market where it really, really slows down. The fewest number of homes come on the market in December. And then there's winter. That's where we are. Inventory is typically pretty flat during winter, and demand starts to really climb. But there's a lot of homeowners that say, I'm not going to place my home on the market. What are they going to wait for? They're going to wait for spring, May. And the SoCal supply, this is what inventory has been. You could see pretty darned, it's really low for SoCal. My statistics are for all of SoCal. I do have some slides for all of NAR, and know that I follow NAR and California's stuff. And I'm actually branching out to many, many different marketplaces. Phoenix, Vegas, the Bay Area. This is where our company is going. So I follow all statistics, but I have this stuff that goes back for years for Southern California. So you can get a nice chart that looks like this, and you can see inventory levels are just so low. And if you look at inventory, January 6th, we were at 11,689. So that's even down 3% from where we were at the end of December. But know that the lowest level ever is typically on the first of the year. And then we grow from there. January 1st, we were at 10,853. So we already went from 10,853 to 11,689 by January 6th. Last year, we were at 17,831, which is 53% higher than we are right now. And last year, the biggest complaint was nothing on the market for all markets across the United States. And yet we have fewer homes on the market right now compared to last year. The 3-year average is 33,812. Just know that in most markets, it's double or triple or even quadruple the number of homes is where the average was prior to COVID. So if you look at that average prior to COVID, there were a lot more homes on the market, 33,000, almost 34,000 in Southern California. Inventory is finally rising though. And today I snapped it just for this meeting. We're at 12,329. It's up 6% since I did it on January 6th. I do these charts every 2 weeks. It's coming up on Thursday. I do it every other Thursday. That's taking it on the same day of the week is what you have to do if you're going to properly forecast where things are headed. And the inventory is going to be pretty flat. Could have been pretty flat had rates not gone up. And it's done that in the last several years for various reasons. I won't get into why. And then it starts to increase once we get to March, when it's spring. But this time around, and then it peaks during the summertime. Well, this time around, I actually think because rates are holding at a higher level that we're going to start to get a rise in the inventory. And then once we get to the spring, it's going to rise further. And we're going to finally surpass where we were year over year, which would be a healthy thing. We need more inventory, period. And so people are going, where are all the homeowners though? What happened? Well, I showed you that over time that there's been fewer and fewer homes that have been on the market. If you compare 2020 and 2021 combined in all of Southern California, we're actually missing close to 50,000 homes for those two years. And it's like this across the United States, where there are actually fewer homes coming on the market than there were prior to COVID, 2017 to 2019. And COVID-19 is not what is the root cause of why our inventory drilled down so low, especially last year. It had first year, yes, 2020, 2021, not buying it. I talked to too many people, and it's really, where will I go? If I'm going to sell my house, then I become what? A buyer. You go from seller to buyer, and a lot of these people don't want to participate. They're more than happy to sit back and say, no problem, my value is going up, and they'll check Zillow every month to see where their value is at. And that is a pun that was intended, that they check Zillow, because Zillow they can't even rely on their own prognostications of where values are at, as we found at the end of last year. SoCal demand has been nutty. The fuel are these low rates, and everything is selling for over asking right now. For all of the state of California, the highest month ever for homes selling for over asking prior to the pandemic was 40% of all homes. Last year, it got to 70% of all homes for all the state of California for the months of May, June, and July, 70% plus sold for above their asking price. Right now, it's about 58%, but I know, knowing what's going on in the marketplace and how low our inventory is across the United States, that the number of homes selling for over asking is going to rise extremely fast right now. And you could see it. This is California's 59.2%. And know that the median time on market, and this is just for the month of November, and remember, that's like the beginning of the holidays, right? 11 days on the market. And 101.4% for sales to list price ratio. And demand has just been soaring January 6th. This is the last 30 days worth of pending sales activity. That's how I find demand. So it's actually higher than where it's at right now. It's just we don't have enough homes on the market to actually place into escrow. But January 6th, we were here. It went down 18% in a 2-week period, totally normal. Last year, we were at 13,158, 22% higher than where we are last year. That was the overhang of 2020's late spring. So we can't even compare year over year until we get to February. And so I'm looking forward to that. 3-year average is 9,678. That's 10% less than where we are today. So even though we have fewer homes coming on the market, less of an inventory, we're actually placing more into escrow than we did prior to COVID. And today we're at 10,793, so basically the same as January 6th. And where will it go from here? It's actually going to start to really skyrocket because as homes come on the market, they're going to go right into escrow, and we'll see that in the demand readings. And then we'll peak right over here in the months of between mid-April to May. And so how fast is this market moving? Expected market time is if you place your home on the market, when are you going to open up escrow? It's different than days on market. Mine is available number of homes and demand. And you could see on January 6th, we were at 33 days, actually went up 5 days, always normal from the very last reading to the start of the year. It goes up a little bit. It went up 5 days. It's at 33 days. And last year we were at 41 days at the same time period. So we're hotter than we were last year. Know that anything below 60 is a hot seller's market. We started off a hot seller's market. Only other time was in 2013. 2021 was hotter than 2013, and 2022 is even hotter. And the 3-year average is 107 days, and today we're at 34 days. This is my speedometer for the market. Know that all markets across the United States are behaving this way. It's backwards because the lower the number, the faster you're going, the hotter the market is. So when you got an expected market time of anything below 40 is what I refer to as insane. That's a hot seller's market where appreciation is going like crazy. And just because it's not a seller's market, eventually it'll slow down enough. We don't go from a seller's market to a buyer's market. We first go to a balanced market. And we're so far from balanced, we need a lot more inventory for it to be balanced. We're about 15% of where we need to be for it to be balanced. So the expected market time, you can see from 60 to 90, that's the blue to the black. That's actually a slight seller's market. That's where all markets behaved in 2019 across the United States. And know that below 40 is what I refer to as an insane market. And that is where we have been for quite some time, since the middle of 2020, all last year, and where we're starting this year. And the expected market time, I imagine it will drop a little bit until we get to middle of March, and then it will start to rise after that. And know that the average days on market across the United States, pick your market, everything is moving exceptionally fast. California is you could see it's painted that color of 31 to 45 days. Know that that's extremely hot. Look at Alaska; it's up to 15 days. I mean, it is just hot for somebody that's on the East Coast. You could see pretty much just like Alaska and California. You're either up to 15 days, 15 to 30, 31 to 45, those are exceptionally hot. National average is 18 days. Home values, I know, are absolutely surging by looking at inventory and demand and listening to everybody talk about how busy everything has been. And homeowner equity is growing and still surging. You could see across the board, home equity people have a lot of equity, especially in the West, where they've really made off during these COVID days. And I really don't see a top to this. And when I do, I'm gonna broadcast it, but I don't see a top. So my forecast kind of looks like this. First of all, I don't quite know where we're going to be because number one, my biggest concerns are uncertainty You don't know. This is a very uncertain world. If we're going to have another COVID-19 variant, arguments are out that it's done, but I heard plenty of people say we were done after Delta and along came Omicron. Rates remain low. That's a concern. I'm so stoked to see them go higher. That's a concern that is starting to wash away from me. Washington, D.C. and the Federal Reserve, they're a concern of mine. As you can tell, Federal Reserve did one little change, actually a big change, but it really changed what we do. Wages rise too fast. That's really, it's not supply chain I'm worried about. I'm worried about wages rise too fast because that will keep inflation going, which is not good for bonds and interest rates. Buyer fatigue is something I'm worried about. Values rising too fast and unrealistic sellers. Know that as they overprice, it's going to be a problem. So my 2022 forecast is distress rises slightly, no wave of foreclosures. Just know that we're going to go from nothing to something, and the percentage wise, it's going to look ridiculous and it's going to look really high. But if you look at it prior to the pandemic, it's going to be low. So that's what you have to look at. So don't be scared of percentages. Normal housing season, spring is the best, then summer, etc. First half will be hot due to limited inventory, but the second half will be slower with more inventory as it gains. So just know that if you're going to take advantage of this market, take advantage of it now rather than wait until the second half of this year. Demand, that's recent pending sales, is going to come down a little bit from 2021's hotness. And I know a lot of people aren't saying that, but I can see it in the numbers that it's not going to quite be 2021. A lot of markets had their best markets since 2005. So, and 2020 was a good year. It's going to be between 2020 and 2021. Closed sales will be down 3 to 6%. Like I said, between 2020 and 2021. Luxury continues to soar, but slightly muted compared to 2021. And they've been a disproportionate number of the sales. As the year progresses, this is going to be more of a concern for luxury. Increase in move-up sellers. So as we get more homes coming on the market, there will be more domino transactions, and buyers motivated by low rates, but they won't be as willing to stretch because these rates are going up a bit. And appreciation in 2022, up 8 to 10%. That's going to be easy to do because I know that we're going to exceed 2% for the month of January alone. So you're going to get to it real fast. It's mostly going to be the first few several months this year, first 5 months this year, we're going to get most of that appreciation. And that is what I have. So, phew, there's your fire hose of information, Ryan.
Oh, that was awesome, man. Thank you so much. Team, I know there's a lot of questions here, and again, we're just not going to have time to answer them because, Stephen was gracious enough to tell us what to expect in terms of inventory in the housing market. My job now is to help you figure out how to take that information and actually go put it to work. So I'll share my screen again here, and we'll get back into this. So with that information that you now have, I want to point out the problems that homeowners have. First is homeowners don't know where to start, right? They don't know where to learn about their next step. They don't want to talk to a salesperson. Most homeowners are living in their home and they just don't know what to do. They don't know if they should move up or if they can, right? They don't know if they should move down or out of the area. They don't reach out to real estate or mortgage professionals to ask those questions because they see us as salespeople, not consultants and educators. So we're going to help solve that problem. Next is homeowners don't know their real estate net worth. Nor do they know what they can or should do with it. Stephen even told you that the Zillows, the Redfins of the world, they just use algorithms, right? Their data is not as accurate as it can or should be. And so consumers, with 85% of their wealth in their home, they don't really know what that number is. And even if they do know that number, nobody's helping them understand how to utilize it or how to maneuver it effectively. So we're going to solve that problem. Next is that many people's homes are not in the best shape, right? They need work. They don't feel like they have time or money to do that. And they don't want to sell their home as is, right? They don't want to say, well, there's people that are sitting at it saying, well, I'd love to sell it, but it's just, it's dated. It needs work. I'm going to save money. I'm going to do the work and then I'll put it on the market later. We all know that's not going to happen. And if they do, they may even miss their opportunity. As Stephen said, the best opportunity is probably going to be spring of this year. So we need to help people solve that problem. Next is the homeowner. If the homeowner does decide to reach out to a real estate or mortgage professional, they become discouraged by their options, right? They're told, well, you can't buy a new home until you sell your current home, or, there's just, if you go ahead and sell your current home first, and then we're going to try and go find a new home, which is like jumping off a fast moving train and trying to jump back on. So they get really discouraged by what they're hearing, especially as rates are climbing. And then lastly is homeowners don't have the tools and education to actually stay informed and make confident decisions. There's nothing that they can interact with. There's nothing they can engage with. There's nothing they can utilize to stay current, and they're not getting information quickly. They're getting it through headlines and Uncle Bob and their buddy at work. And so they're just kind of at a loss. And the goal for me in the next, 26 minutes is to help you solve these problems for homeowners. Because yes, it will help you and your business tremendously, but it's the right thing to do to help the communities that we serve, because they definitely need help in all these areas. So let's dive into it. First, again, problem: homeowners don't know where to start, right? They don't know who to call, who to talk to, and they don't want to talk to salespeople. Our solution: we need to change our offering of services. We just simply need to expand what the consumer believes we actually do for work. Right? We need to stop looking for people who want to sell and that are willing to talk to us. And we want clients who actually want to learn from us. And I can't stress how important this is, because if you're out there looking for transactions, you might stumble across one here or there, right? You may happen to call somebody or knock on a door or send a farm piece to somebody who's just happened to be thinking of selling at the right time. But it's going to be few and far between, because again, they don't know what to do. So if we start offering education and make it a consistent, proactive, kind of expected thing, right, then we'll be able to actually help people. We do what's called financial transition planning, right? That needs to be verbiage that we all need to be using. So if Steven is a prospect or a homeowner and I'm talking to him, I'm not going to ask him if he wants to sell his home. I'm just going to say, hey man, can you believe how crazy this real estate market is, right? From what we heard from an economist, that selling your home in spring of this year might be one of the best times ever. Have you done any sort of like financial transition planning? Has anybody talked to you about what that may look like, or do you have education around it just to learn, just to know? Right? It's a very different conversation than saying, hey, do you want to sell? Right? So, change your database conversations that you're having when you're calling your past clients. Right? Change your farming, your mailers, your magazines. So this is let's see if I can click on it here, if it'll pull up. Yeah. And again, at the end of this, I'll put in contact information. If you guys want this, we can send it out. So this is an example of, a piece that you could mail, a piece you could leave behind, a piece you could email. All right, it's just a winter edition of things to consider as a homeowner. All right, so you start to look through, like, should I sell? Expert insights. What does the future hold? So it's a 23-page document that really speaks to all the things that Steven was just talking about here, that homeowners don't know this stuff, right? They don't have access to this information. So being able to push this stuff out, and again, you can put your own brand and you can put your name and your information on it, but you need to be seen as an educator, not a salesperson. Your website needs to have opportunities for them to connect, to learn, not just to connect with you if they want to buy or sell a house, or to refinance their home loan. And your conversations with your sphere and social media should be around education, advice, and guidance. I write down here something called the perfect referral, which is I don't want people always coming to me just saying, I want to buy, sell, or finance a home. I want people coming to me saying, hey, I was referred to you by Steven, who is a buddy of mine. He just said that you guys are really great at knowing about real estate and finance. I'd love to talk to you about my situation and get some advice. Like, that is the perfect type of client, because they're open-minded to have you help them navigate the changes and evolutions in their life and in the market. So be really clear. And this takes working closely with realtors and lenders together, right? Because lenders do a lot of this, right, in terms of financial transition planning, and realtors are oftentimes kind of the vocal, person that are introducing that opportunity. So really start to change your offering as opposed to just being sales. Next is what we call equity analysis and planning. Another thing you're going to want in your vocabulary, right? Financial transition planning will be one, and equity analysis and plan will be another. Because again, homeowners don't know their net worth, nor what they can or should use it for. Our solution is we can work together to actually offer this to our clients and our prospects. As you saw in the image that Steven put up there, all the average equity in all these states. I think the number was, I don't know exactly, Steven, you may know this, but maybe over 55% of all homes in the country are free and clear. And then, something over 70% have 50% equity or more. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, that sounds about right. It's pretty amazing.
So there are people that have hundreds of thousands, potentially even millions of dollars of equity in their home, and they don't know what they can nor what they should do with that money. They don't know how to leverage it. They don't know how to utilize it to buy more property. And they're just sitting in a home, paying for it, blissfully unaware of the things they can do. Reaching out to people and offering equity analysis plans, just what they can or should do, is incredibly important. This is just a kind of a front page screen example of one of that we create. We use Mortgage Coach to do these equity analysis plans for our clients. Just let them know, hey, here's what it might look like to access equity. Here's what it might look like to move up, move down, move out of the area, buy an investment property, buy a second home, help your parents, help your children, right? Work for a better retirement. All these things start to help the homeowner realize, okay, well, maybe it does make sense to do this. I just haven't looked at it through that lens. So, being able to do CMAs or updated value, these are all part of equity analysis. Showing them their equity amount, doing an overall financial review with retirement planning, tax strategy, estate planning, insurance, really helping them in every area. And then opportunities for real estate and financial improvement, and then ultimately a suggested plan of action, right? At the end of every equity analysis is a suggested plan of action. And that's something that you say, hey, look, if I'm you, this is kind of the things I would do. And this is coming from the real estate agent and the lender together, because again, lenders put these things together. So you'll hear me say this probably 100 more times throughout this presentation. Don't do this alone, right? Work closely with your lenders, work closely with your real estate agents, and together we can help people understand this. Here's a core logic stat at the end of Q3, the home equity report. Average home equity gain for the US, $57,000. That's like a second job, just owning a home, right? Year-over-year percentage increase in equity, 31%, $3.2 trillion in total homeowner equity. That is, what a good, one of my business partners, Josh Middle, calls dead money. It's just sitting there doing nothing. It's the same thing as if they picked up their floorboards and shoved 3.2 trillion under there, and then they pick it up 30 years later and they pull it out and dust it off when they sell the home. Right? There's ways people can utilize that. They can leverage it into more property, and they can really work towards a better financial future. They just need to know the options and know what's available to them. So start using equity analysis planning with your mortgage partners and as real estate agents, and watch what opportunities will arise from it. All right, next is we need to offer different tools to be able to open up their scope, right? So many people's homes, again, we talked about the problem, right? They're not in great shape. They need work done, but the homeowners don't have time or money to do it, and they don't want to sell for less, so they do nothing. So these are a couple examples of some homes that could use some work. One of the solutions is, you can offer a third party that will actively help them keep their home up to date and actually increase the value of that home. So I'll click on this so you guys can kind of see what it looks like. So they can take they can use their phone to do a virtual inventory of their house. And then when they log in, they say you here as the mortgage professional. They'll see the real estate professional if the real estate professional is a part of it. They see all the different things about their home, right? Kitchen, all the different types of appliances, all the things that they've done with their digital review. And then on a weekly basis, they're gonna get emails that says, Steven, it's been 6 months, time to change your air filter. Here's the one you need. Summer's coming, do X. Winter's coming, do Y. Right? You're gonna help them keep their home in great shape, and they're gonna see you on a weekly basis. So top of mind becomes a really important thing. If they ever need any work done, they click a button and they can get local contractors to come out, do the work. They'll save the job history, the receipts, the vendor contact information, paint colors, appliance information, carpet type. Right? So the person will build up this kind of Carfax for their home. And again, it will help them understand home ownership at a higher level, which helps them solve, again, that problem, which is they need to keep their home in great shape, right? So being able to give them those types of tools is going to be incredibly valuable in your market to really not only separate yourself, but give people something that they need. And then show them how you can help them actually renovate that home to maximize the sales price at no cost. So this is what we call our pre-sales renovation financing. Imagine going to your market as a real estate professional and being able to walk into one of these homes and saying, hey, look, if I list this home, I could sell it for 100 grand right now. But if we put, $20,000 worth of work into it, I could sell it for 150 or 200, whatever the number is. Well, most of the time, the homeowner is gonna be like, well, I don't have the 20,000. And you could simply say, that's fine. Like we'll help you with the $20,000. There's no cost, there's no fees, there's no interest. right? Just let us get your home up to great shape, because if you do sell it, if it's the right thing for you and your family, we don't want you to sell it just at an as-is price. We want you to maximize the sales price. That way, when you do move up into that next home, you have all the capital to be able to do that. So, the company that we work with has really turnkey trends to make sure that you're doing all the right things. They put you in touch with the contractors that do it. There's no costs. Everything's, paid for by the contractor and by the financing company. And then you can flip a house in weeks, not months. So you're really flipping your own home as you're being able to then bring it to market. Again, how many people are sitting in their home just wondering, I wish I could sell. I kind of want to sell, but look at all the stuff I have to do. And then they just keep watching Netflix, because that's kind of what we do. So if we can educate them that this exists and let them know the suite of services are at their fingertips, we can help show more people how selling their home is going to make financial sense, is going to make logical sense. And if they time it right, and we get it towards the spring season, and then we upgrade it, it's going to be incredible for them. So that's how we help with the problem of home not being in great shape. Next problem, right? People not being able to buy their new home without selling their departing residence. Can't tell you how many people come to us and they say, yeah, my realtor told me to reach out, but I've talked to a few of the lenders and they've said that, there's no way I can buy my new home unless I sell my current home. And I don't want to do that because there's only 8 homes on the market. It's not likely that I'm going to get one of those. And writing a contingent offer, I'm going to get laughed at. So, I don't really know what my options are. They don't qualify for cross collateralization. They don't qualify for bridge loan because DTI is into the equation. So we can simply say, Stephen, you know what? I totally understand. With most of our clients, we can actually approve you up front, and then we'll buy that new home for you. Let's say you own a $500,000 house, but you want to buy a $700,000 house. We'll approve you for $700,000. When it comes on the market, we'll buy your $700,000 all cash, right? Which will help you get an offer accepted more often. It'll help you save money on the price of that home. And then you'll have up to 12 months after you've moved in to the new home to sell your departing residence. We can even upgrade it or renovate it, prior to you selling it. And then once that transaction closes, you can use those proceeds to then buy the new home that you're already living in. So this is a program that I promise you will, I think Erica, our business development manager, said at our meeting earlier today, it's kind of like musical chairs, right? If everybody gets up, then everybody gets to move. But if nobody gets up, there's no chairs. We just need to help everybody understand that they can do this, right? Cash buyers paid about 12% less than people using a mortgage over the past 40 years. So essentially how it works, we fully underwrite a client in advance. We partner with a company called Revive that actually buys the new home. The client moves in, then we list and sell the old home, and then you're ready to purchase your new home afterwards. Cash offers are 3% more likely to win. You only have to move one time as opposed to selling and moving in with mom and dad or renting. And you can confidently secure your up leg, your new home, your long-term home without jeopardizing being a renter and missing the train altogether. And here's some stats from Redfin. Again, all cash, 290% more likely to get an offer accepted. Waiving contingency, 66%, escalation clause, waiving inspection and pre-inspection don't really have an impact. So if your home sellers are concerned about finding their new home, we can solve that problem for them, right? We can help them buy that new home confidently. We just need to make sure that they're underwritten to do so. So we can solve the problem substantially of not having people just sit and wait and hope that at some point they're going to qualify, which again, qualifying is going to become harder as rates climb. So they may be stuck in their home for longer because the more expensive home is going to appreciate at a higher amount than the departing residence. So keep that in mind. And this is where the teamwork between real estate agent and mortgage professional becomes an absolute necessity. Because the real estate agents, you all are out in the field, you're talking to clients, you're meeting with people about their real estate goals and needs. And they tell you that they're running into financing problems or challenges or constraints. Don't accept that, right? Those aren't constraints that every lender has to deal with. And work with your current lender to be able to offer these types of programs. Next is being able to offer something of value to every single person that you come across, not just people, again, who want to buy or sell homes. So again, homeowners don't have the tools and education to stay informed and make confident decisions on all areas of real estate or finance. Solution, become a higher frequency of use business. So for those of you who don't know what frequency of use means, Facebook, your bank, your Amazon, think of the apps that you use and the companies that you connect with on a daily or weekly basis. Those are high frequency of use businesses. And then you get into ones that you might use, once or twice a year. And then you get into the ones that you may use once every 5 to 10 years, which is real estate and mortgage. Especially as rates go up and as people get more kind of entrenched into their homes for longer periods of time. We went from helping someone every year to 2 years as rates were coming down and as people were buying and selling, to maybe helping people every 5 to 10 years, because we've become an infrequency of use business. And in 5 to 10 years, it's hard to keep people engaged. So we want to create a platform. For those of you who don't know, we use something called Neo Experience. It's powered by the Art of Homeownership, which is a sponsor of this. And you can offer an incredible amount of value to the consumer for them to be able to be the most successful homeowner possible. And the frequency of use goes up drastically, right? It can even go up to a weekly engagement rate. And so we do that by offering all these services. So I went over the home concierge that we talked about, that the consumer can have at their fingertips. They see on a weekly basis. We can actually commit to helping people keep their home in great shape and increase its value. Real Estate Wealth Digest, I'll show you here. This keeps at least a monthly engagement, but if you see the stats, it's much more frequent. This becomes almost a weekly engagement. Your lender partner should be doing the annual, if you're a real estate professional, if your lending partner is doing annual financial reviews, you have no clue how much benefit this adds to the consumer, because we're helping them plan for real estate goals that they wouldn't have otherwise. We're helping them envision something that they may not have been able to see, because all they do is look at headlines, and people typically operate out of fear. So partnering with your mortgage professional to have them do these at least once a year is incredibly important for the database. Ensuring that you're actively managing that client's mortgage. We have different technologies that tell us when clients, and this isn't just us, this is every lender in the country for the most part, has technologies that say when your client's debt load has increased, right? When their credit score has increased, when their home valuation or equity amount's gone up, when they have mortgage credit inquiries, all the things that we need to know to help somebody navigate the financial ins and outs of their life. Not to mention, it's going to manage their mortgage so they're always in the right home and the right loan at the right time. Helping people really maximize their wealth through real estate, which is accessory dwelling units, garage conversion, granny flats, casitas. As inventory becomes tight and people need to move in, parents move in with children, children move in with parents. We need to help them understand that. And then having the pre-sales renovation financing, which we went over, having the trade up program, and then even having a platform that lets people move and save time, money, and energy, all incredibly important. So think about yourself, right? If you own a home, are you getting all these things? Are you seeing your real estate and mortgage professional on a consistent basis, right? In a way that is not just recipes and just sold and just listed flyers and things that have nothing to do with them. It's really just marketing. Like, how much are you impacting the livelihood of your clients? Like, can you show with real economic value how you're moving the needle in that client's life? Because if you can, it gives you the ability to influence to their decision making on if they should be buying or selling homes, which means we can start to move the market. So, question, anybody know, well, maybe type it in the chat, because you can't, but anybody know the average email open rate for a mortgage or real estate related email to your past client database?
Very low.
Yes, Stephen's hit it on the head, very low. You got everything from 1% to 16% that I'm seeing in here. The answer is 6%. So with our monthly real estate wealth digests, and this is where realtors and lenders really need to come together. We, in the last 30 days, we've sent 1,535. We've had 1,252 opens, and we're above 80% every single month. And the reason why is because the information we're sending is specific to the homeowner. Here's just a quick little snapshot I took. So when I say frequency of use, in the last 24 hours, and this is just 4 of them, there was probably 50 or more in the last 24 hours, we can see all of what they're doing with this digest, right? This real estate wealth digest. We even had one client who messaged us, adjusted his years in home, viewed the new home panel. So guess who we talked to yesterday, right? And so we can have predictive analytics on what our clients are thinking and what they're interested in, because we can see exactly what they're focusing on in these digests. And these come every single month. So you can see here, this is just in the last, this all happened in one thing here, but Jeff Garcia, He's looking at this. He messaged us, how do I get started? Asked a question about, buying the dream home. And if you want to see why, it's because when he logs into his account, he can see his home value. And we can call this the most accurate home value of anywhere he can find it online. The reason why is because we teach him to hit the tune value every button. So between us and our real estate professional partners, we make this value, which he knows is way more impactful and appropriate than some online algorithm. So what this does is it kind of Zillow proofs you as an agent, and it makes sure that people are coming to this kind of captive audience to ask all their questions. And then he can see here, and this is a part of his report. Hey, Jeff, did you know you could buy a home for $1.28 million or buy an investment property for $461? You could rent your home, you can sell and pocket the cash. Imagine if you called your clients every month and said, hey, do you know you could buy a new home and buy an investment property? They would block your number because they just don't want you to this. But if you put the information in front of them every month, what you just saw will happen. He's going to click this, purchase a home. He's going to see a video of your mortgage professional explaining, hey, if you put your money to work, you can put 20% down, you can keep this home, access the equity in the home, buy a new home, rent out the departing residence. And it's, you and your mortgage professional explaining this to the consumer every single month. This is the type of precise accountability that we need to our consumers and to our teams to say, we're not just going to sit back and wait and hope you call us if you want to buy or sell a house. We're going to put the information and education in front of you on a consistent basis. That way, you don't surprise us when you say you want to buy or sell a home. You just reach out to us and we work on that plan and that strategy together. And I promise we can move the market if we do that. We can also show them all the other areas in which they can impact their life, right? All the other areas, how they could use their equity to improve their real estate or financial livelihood. And, when it comes to being a successful homeowner, these are the questions that people are asking, whether they own a home or whether they don't own a home, right? What price range? Where do I start? Should I improve my financial fitness? What down payment? What expenses? And if they own a home, should I sell my home? Should I rent my home? Should I move up, down, out of the area? So we need to be able to have this in the palm of their hands at all times. So the Art of Homeownership team is actually in the process of developing that application that will create an incredibly frequent use system, because they're going to log into this. They'll have an app on their phone and they'll see you, right? They'll see the mortgage professional, and they'll be able to see their checking account, their bank statements, their financial wealth score, their credit positions. We will keep them in a state, like it will do all these things, right? So they can understand when real estate opportunities make sense for them. They can track their real estate value. They can have document storage. We streamline credit access so they're always approved for a mortgage, right? They're literally with a click of a button, they can just pull up their approval because they can update their entire file. We can pull their bank statements. We can pull their income documentation. And so they live in this constant state of approval, which kind of keeps them well connected. They are constantly gamifying their financial literacy, looking at spending analysis, budgeting goals. So we're not just saying, hey, you want to buy or sell a house and then wishing them good luck. We're committing to helping them become more generationally wealthy, right? We're committing to helping them in every aspect of real estate or finance. And we're doing it on a very regular basis because the engagement is consistent and ongoing. So I know we only have a couple minutes left here and I want to be cognizant of time. Here's our action plan. Step 1, understand the severity of the problem we're facing. Stop wishing for it to hoping it gets better, right? Stephen told you it's not. It may get a little bit better, but not to the point to where it's going to help all the communities. It just means that the people that have all the money and the hedge funds and Wall Street, they're just going to have more homes to buy, right? We need to be able to help the average person and the average homeowner. Step 3, realize that you can do this alone, but you definitely should not, right? So realtors, you don't need to put this all squarely on your shoulders. Lenders, same thing. The two of you make a really powerful team, and the closer you work together, the more impactful that you'll be for more families. Step 4, after this meeting, whoever invited you to this, whether it's a lender inviting a realtor inviting a lender, find a time to meet and actually decide what you're going to do. Like create the game plan based upon the solutions that we gave. Step 5, get the tools you need, right, to actually offer to the homeowner. So Art of Homeownership, phenomenal tool. Mortgage Coach, phenomenal tool if you're a mortgage professional. Step 6, get the coaching you need on how to actually deliver the tools and then scale your business. Because if you do this right, your biggest problem is going to be helping these families within the number of families, right? So understanding scale and delivery. Tribe Coaching is a great coaching company that can help mortgage professionals. Definitely subscribe to Reports on Housing, especially if you're in one of Steven's markets. If not, I'm not sure what to tell you, but Steven could probably help there. Step 7, and lastly, is put your capes on and go solve the biggest problem in our industries, right? But do it together. Don't sit back and wait. Don't see these challenges of rising rates and low inventory and blah, 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 blah. Stop talking about them as if they're obstacles and start seeing them as opportunities. Because if you're on this call, you now have the action plan and the strategy to go turn those obstacles into opportunities when other people won't. So lastly, and again, I want to be right on time here. We are dead on 3 o'clock. Connect with your lender realtor partners now. Whoever brought you here, meet with them, come up with your strategy, get started. We will be sending our slide decks to anyone who signed up on Eventbrite. So if you're on Eventbrite, we have your email. We'll send the recording and our decks out to everybody there. If you're watching on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, any of the other platforms that we may be live streaming on, you can reach out to these 2 email addresses and 2 phone numbers, and we'll point you in the right direction. And I will end just by, again, thanking Steven for being on here today. I think we had north of 800 people that were attending today, or at least signed up. And thank you to all of our sponsors, Neo Home Loans, Tribe Coaching, Reports on Housing, and Art of Home Ownership. It's a really phenomenal time for us to show our value and our professionalism. It's a really challenging time for anybody who doesn't have these tools and these strategies. So hopefully this was helpful. Steven, anything else you want to add before we break?
No, that's it. Thanks for having me. I love anything. It's about solutions. That's what it's about.
Yes.
Powerful, Ryan.
Well said. Well, team, hopefully this was helpful, guys. If you need anything, reach out, connect with your real estate and mortgage partners, and let's go solve some problems. Bye, everybody.
Later.